The distress call the sky above Refuge 7 burned red. Commander. Finn of the Kelvin colony watched the orbital defense stations explode one by one. Each bright flash meant another 100 of his people were gone. The Kelvin were a gentle species. They had never known war before today. Send the distress signal again, Finn said quietly. His blue skin had turned pale with fear. Sir, no one is answering, his aide replied. The Galactic Council says they cannot help. The Vorten Empire has too much power. They say we must surrender. Finn looked at the screen showing his colony burning. The Vortens were not just attacking. They were destroying everything. Women, children, hospitals, schools, nothing was spared. The Kelvins had refused to give up their mining rights, and now they would pay with their lives. Send the signal on all frequencies, Finn ordered. Every channel. Someone in this galaxy must have honor. The message went out into the dark space. A simple call. Help us. We are dying. Coordinates attached. Please. Anyone. 3 days away, at the edge of known space, Station Delta 9 floated in silence. The humans who lived there were miners and traders. Most species in the galaxy avoided them. Earth was classified as a level 10 death world, the highest danger rating. The humans who came from it were considered too violent, too unpredictable. Captain Ross was drinking coffee when the signal arrived. He was a big man with gray hair and tired eyes. 20 years in space had not made him soft. Captain, we have a distress call, said Officer Blake. She was young, with dark skin and quick hands. It's from the Refuge 7 colony. Kelvin species. They're under attack by Vorten forces. Ross set down his cup. Vortens? Those bastards are still raiding? Yes, sir. And the Council has refused to help. Ross stood and walked to the communication panel. He played the message. He heard the fear in Commander Finn's voice. He heard the explosions in the background. He heard children crying. How many ships do we have ready? Ross asked. Blake hesitated. Sir, the Council warned us not to interfere. The Vortens have treaties. If we attack them, we could start a war. Ross smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Blake, how many ships? 5, sir. But the Vortens have at least 20 ships at Refuge 7. We would be outnumbered 4-1. Ross pressed the intercom button. All crew, this is the captain. We just received a distress call from civilians under attack. The bad guys think no one will help because they're too scared. I say we show them what scared really looks like. Prep for combat operations. We leave in 1 hour. Blake stared at him. Sir, we might die. Maybe, Ross said. But those people will definitely die if we do nothing. Besides, Blake, do you know what we are? What, sir? We're humans. We're from Earth. Our planet tried to kill us for millions of years with diseases, predators, storms, and disasters. We didn't just survive, we conquered it. These Vortens think they're tough because they push around peaceful species. Let's teach them what tough really means. The message went out to all 5 human ships. The crews were miners, traders, and guards. But their ancestors had been soldiers, hunters, and survivors. That blood still ran in their veins. As the ships prepared to leave, Ross sent one message back to Refuge 7. Help is coming. Hold on. Commander Finn received the message and cried. He did not know who these humans were. He did not know about Earth or Deathworlders. He only knew that someone had answered when everyone else had turned away. The human fleet jumped faster than light speed. They were small. They were outnumbered. But they were coming. The Vorten Empire was about to learn a hard lesson. When you hurt the innocent, sometimes the monsters come for you. And humanity had been called monsters before. Asterisk. First contact, the Vorten warships surrounded Refuge 7 like wolves around wounded prey. Admiral Cross stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the colony burn below. He was pleased. The Kelvins had learned their lesson about refusing the Empire. "Sir, we have incoming ships," reported his scanner officer. Cross barely looked up. "More Kelvins trying to evacuate?" "Destroy them." "No, sir. The signature is ... unknown. 5 ships. Small class. They're hailing us." Cross laughed. "5 ships? Put them on screen. Let's see what fools have come to die today." The screen showed Captain Ross. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard as stone. "Vorten vessels, this is Captain Ross of the human fleet. You are ordered to cease your attack and leave this system immediately." The Vorten bridge crew burst into laughter. Cross smiled, showing his sharp teeth. The Vortens were large, scaled creatures built for war. They had conquered 40 systems in the last century. "Human, I have heard of your species. You come from some distant death world, yes? This does not concern you. Leave now, or we will add your ships to the debris field." Ross nodded slowly. "I gave you a chance. Remember that." The transmission ended. Cross was still smiling when the first human ship fired. The plasma bolt hit his shield and actually made it flicker. His smile faded. "Return fire. All ships, destroy those." He never finished the sentence. The human ships moved like nothing the Vortens had ever seen. They didn't fly in formation. They scattered, diving and weaving through space like birds of prey. Their weapons fired constantly, never stopping, never missing. A Vorten cruiser exploded. Then another. "How are they doing this?" Cross shouted. "They're smaller than us. They have fewer ships." But the humans fought like they were born in space. Every movement was aggressive. Every shot was aimed to kill. They showed no fear, no hesitation. When a Vorten ship tried to ram one of the human vessels, the human ship didn't retreat. It fired engines forward and rammed back, tearing through the Vorten hull like paper. On the ground, Commander Finn watched the battle through his shelter's broken window. The human ships were dancing between the Vorten fleet, taking hits but never stopping. One human vessel was on fire, but it kept fighting, kept shooting, kept moving. "What kind of species fights like this?" whispered his aide. Finn didn't answer. He was beginning to understand. These humans came from a death world. They were predators. And predators didn't run from a fight out in space. Captain Ross gripped his command chair as his ship shook from another hit. "Blake, status. Hull breach on deck 3. Shields at 40%. "But sir, we just took out their command ship." Ross grinned. "Good. Target the ships bombing the colony. Make them pay for every civilian they killed." The human fleet focused their fire. One by one, the Vorten ships that had been destroying the colony exploded in bright flashes. The Vortens tried to retreat, to regroup, but the humans gave them no time. They pressed forward, attacking, always attacking. Admiral Cross's ship was dying around him. Half his fleet was gone. His sensors showed 2 human ships were barely functioning, but they were still fighting, still firing, still coming. "They're insane." He screamed. "No species fights like this. They should be running." But humans didn't run. On Earth, their ancestors had fought cave bears with pointed sticks. They had crossed frozen deserts and boiling jungles. They had survived ice ages and plagues. Running was not in their nature. "All ships retreat." Cross finally ordered. "Get us out of here." The remaining Vorten vessels jumped to faster than light speed, leaving their dead behind. They had come with 20 ships. They left with 7. The human fleet floated in the debris field, damaged but victorious. Captain Ross opened a channel to the colony. Refuge 7, this is Captain Ross. The threat has been removed. We're sending rescue teams to the surface. Commander Finn's voice came back, shaking with emotion. Captain, you saved us. We thought we would all die. How can we ever thank you? Ross looked at the burning colony on his screen. He thought about the civilians who had already died, the children who would never grow up. You don't need to thank us, he said quietly. This is what we do. No one deserves to die like this. As the human rescue teams landed on Refuge 7, the Kelvin survivors came out of their shelters. They stared at the humans with a mixture of gratitude and fear. These creatures had saved them, yes, but the violence they had witnessed, the raw aggression in the battle, it was terrifying. The humans moved through the colony, pulling survivors from rubble, treating the wounded, distributing food and supplies. They were gentle now, careful, but the Kelvins could not forget what they had seen in space. Commander Finn approached Captain Ross as he surveyed the damage. Your people fight like demons, he said softly. Ross looked at him with tired eyes. No, we fight like humans, and the galaxy is about to learn the difference. The news traveled fast across the galaxy. 5 human ships had defeated a Vorten war fleet. The impossible had happened. In the Galactic Council chambers, the representatives gathered in emergency session. The air was thick with tension. This is a disaster, said Council Leader Venn. He was a tall, thin creature with 4 arms. The humans have broken the non-interference treaty. They attacked Vorten ships without authorization. The Vortens were slaughtering civilians, argued Representative Mora. She represented the younger species who had no love for the Empire. The humans did what we should have done. It does not matter. Venn shouted, we have rules. We have order. If every species acts on their own, we will have chaos. But the chaos had already begun. On the Vorten homeworld, the Empire's leaders gathered in their war chamber. Admiral Cross stood before them, his scales pale with shame. He had survived the battle, but barely. They are just one species, growled the Vorten Emperor. We have armies. We have fleets. We will crush them for this insult. But the military advisors were not so confident. They had studied the battle records. The humans had lost 2 ships and still won. Their tactics were brutal and efficient. They fought with a ferocity that no other species showed. My Emperor, said the oldest advisor carefully, I recommend we leave the humans alone. Mark their territory as forbidden. They come from a Class 10 death world. Every species from such worlds is dangerous, but the humans, they are something else. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You counsel fear? I counsel wisdom. The humans did not fight for resources or power. They fought for strangers. They risked death for people they had never met. That makes them unpredictable. That makes them the most dangerous species of all. The Emperor was silent for a long time. Finally, he nodded. Send the order. No Vorten ship will approach human territory or human allies. We will find easier prey. It was the first time in 100 years that the Vorten Empire had backed down. On Refuge 7, the rebuilding had begun. The humans stayed for 3 weeks, helping repair what the Vortens had destroyed. But something had changed between the Kelvins and their rescuers. Commander, Finn walked with Captain Ross through the new medical center. The human had saved thousands of lives, but the Kelvins avoided him in the hallways. They looked at him with nervous eyes. They're afraid of us, Ross said quietly. Finn didn't deny it. Captain, we are grateful. You gave us our lives. But we saw what you did in space. The way you fought. It was terrifying. We have never seen such violence, such rage. Ross stopped walking. He looked tired. We didn't want to scare you. We just wanted to help. I know, Finn said. But now we understand what a death world really means. Your people learned to fight because your world gave you no choice. You became predators to survive. And that power, he paused, choosing his words carefully. It cannot be turned off, can it? Ross shook his head. No, it's part of who we are. We can be gentle. We can be kind. But when someone threatens the innocent, when someone hurts the weak, we become something else. Our history is full of wars, Finn. Terrible wars. We know violence better than any species in the galaxy. And we hate it. But we're very, very good at it. Finn touched Ross's arm gently. The galaxy needed to see what you did here. For too long, the strong have bullied the weak because no one would stop them. You stopped them. But the price... He gestured to his people, still frightened, still traumatized. ... The price is that now we fear you too. Ross understood. They had saved the Kelvins, but they had also shown them the dark side of humanity. The capacity for violence that lived in every human heart. Will you be all right? Ross asked. Yes, Finn said. In time, we will rebuild. We will remember. And we will tell everyone that when we called for help, the humans came. That is worth remembering too. The human fleet left Refuge 7 3 days later. As they jumped faster than light speed, Ross sat in his captain's chair and thought about what had happened. They had saved a species. They had defeated an empire. They had shown the galaxy that bullies could be stopped, but they had also shown the galaxy what Earth had made them. Warriors, survivors, Deathworlders. Across the galaxy, species began to whisper. Some with gratitude, some with fear, some with both. The Galactic Council added a new note to humanity's file. Responds to distress calls. Highly aggressive in combat. Protects the weak. Approach with caution. Do not provoke. Do not threaten those under their protection. In the Vorten Empire, military schools began teaching about the Battle of Refuge 7. It became a lesson. Some prey fights back. Some species cannot be conquered. And on Earth, when the news arrived, people celebrated. Their children in the stars had done them proud. They had been called monsters, and they had accepted that title, but only to protect the innocent. The SOS had reached the Deathworlders. And the species who sent it had survived. But everyone, from the Kelvins to the Vortens to the Council itself, had paid a price for that salvation. They had learned the truth about humanity, that kindness and violence could exist in the same heart, and that sometimes the most terrifying thing in the galaxy was someone willing to die for strangers. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. Asterisk.